H.B. Charles said these poignant words about answered prayer. It may seem that God did not answer prayer when the real issue may be that we did not like the answer. Welcome to the 260 journey, and welcome to a journey to answered prayer in the Apostle Paul's life here in the book of Philippians. If you don't look closely and read the New Testament, his prayer and his answer could be easily missed. Let's see what Paul was praying throughout his life and how the answer came in Philippians 1. Always remember, my job is to pray and not forecast the answer on how I think it should be answered. I leave that to God to figure out. Paul had a great desire to preach the gospel in Rome and made it a matter of prayer. Listen to some of the passages that reveal his heart. Acts 19:21. Now, after these things were finished, Paul purposed in the Spirit to go to Jerusalem after he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia. And after I've been there, he said, I must also see Rome. He writes to the church in Rome and tells them his desire and prayer. Listen to this in Romans 1:10. Always in my prayers, making requests that perhaps by now, by the will of God, I may succeed in coming to you. Romans 1:15. So for my part, I am eager to preach the gospel to you who are in Rome. Paul had no idea how that prayer would be answered, but that wasn't his problem. That was God's problem. Philippians 1 tells us God did answer that prayer. So how did it happen? Rome never became his fourth missionary journey on his itinerary because he got arrested and put in jail. Can you imagine Paul saying, I wanted to go to Rome, preach the gospel, and now I can't? Then it happens. He's being sent to trial in Rome. He wanted to go as a preacher, but now he's going as a prisoner. He does get to Rome, but he is in chains. He was eager to preach the gospel there, but it seems like a bust, at least in Paul's mind. Remember, you pray, let God figure out the answer. And then it happens. The prison sentence is the platform that he prayed about. The trial is the answer. God came through. Now listen to Philippians 1:12. Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it became clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear. Think about this. The palace guards were the handpicked bodyguards of the Emperor Nero. Paul was saying that as a prisoner, he is chained to a Roman soldier, and that means the gospel has been penetrating the handpicked bodyguards of the emperor. The gospel is now going through the most guarded place in the world and advancing. It's going through a place that is so anti-Christ because Nero persecuted the Christians so harshly and inhumanely that God decided to bring the good news through his front door and right into the palace. Listen to Paul's words again. What has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. His prayer was answered, and even better than he prayed. He is not only advancing the gospel, it has gotten into the elite army. The message is getting into the palace guards. Paul in Rome as a preacher, he's limited. Paul there as a prisoner, he is a place that could never have gotten into, which is Caesar's palace. And he gets to preach in that high security place for 2 years. Paul is in Rome, the imperial city, the capital of the world, the seat of the government, and right in the imperial palace. But so is the gospel of Jesus, because God answered the prayer better than Paul ever could have imagined. That's why these words resonate even more on this palace answer from Ephesians. Now glory be to God, who by his mighty power at work within us is able to do far more than we would ever dare to ask or dream, and infinitely beyond our highest prayers, desires, thoughts, or hopes. What is defined as an imprisonment is really an answer to prayer. It's beyond his prayer and desires that Paul had back in Acts. I think sometimes we stop short thinking God didn't answer our prayer, when the real truth is he may not have answered it the way you wanted him to. Recently, I was listening to a podcast interview with Luis Palau. He is considered by many to be the Billy Graham of South America. He has recently been diagnosed with cancer and is entering the twilight age of his ministry. The interview was amazing and inspiring, but the part that was priceless to me was when Luis said that in his life, he has seen God answer prayer 5 different ways. Listen to them and write them down. You'll need them one day so you can see imprisonment as an answer like Paul did. They're simple and profound. 5 ways God answers prayer. Number 1, yes, I never thought you'd ask. 2, no, I love you too much. 3, yes, but not yet. The timing is not right. 4, yes, and here's more. And 5, yes, but differently than you thought. Thanks for joining the 260 Journey.